Oh yeah, welcome back. UFC 159 Rundown Show. I'm your host, Christopher Thompson. But first, we're going to review UFC on Fox 7 from last Saturday. Oh yeah, welcome back. I'm your host, Christopher Thompson. UFC 159 Rundown Show. Gonna hit up what happened last Saturday night on UFC Fox 7. Had Gilbert Melendez and Benson Henderson battled it out. Henderson remained victorious, kept his title belt at 155-pound class. So that brings him to 18-2 now in the UFC. Kind of a controversial fight. I had Melendez winning 2 rounds. I had Henderson winning 3 rounds. Interesting, I had Melendez coming out winning the first 2 rounds, while Henderson winning 3, 4, and 5. I felt that Henderson was able to keep the advantage in the striking. I felt he got the better of the exchanges. Also, I had to hand it to Melendez because his strategy coming in the fight, he forced Henderson to fight him standing up. Forced him to box, forced him to fight his own fight. I felt Melendez controlled the fight there. Coming out into each round, Melendez started strong, but towards the end of the rounds, it seemed the round started going Henderson's way, deeper in the rounds. Even Melendez talks about him taking at the end of the rounds off towards the end of the fight, 4th and 5th rounds. Everybody's kind of debating on round 2, also round 5, which I gave Henderson 3, 4, and 5 for the win. Even if he made a 10-10 round for rounds 2 and rounds 5, you'd still have Henderson winning the fight at, I believe it's 48-47. That's the way it would have gone. Still wouldn't have went to a draw. So I thought that was an interesting fact. Talks from the UFC next title match between TJ Grant and Gray Maynard. I'll get the shot at 155. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'd like to see them look towards matching Thompson up or something with Cerrone and KJ Nunes. Maynard's been out for a while, but we'll see what happens later. So we also had the Frank Mir Daniel Cormier fight, or Daniel Cormier wins the decision. So we had a good heavyweight battle there. I expected to see more out of Mir coming out of Jackson's camp. His cardio wasn't suffering as bad as we've seen in the past, but he still lacked enthusiasm, aggressiveness during the fight. I think that's one of his problems. He comes out into the fight pretty calm and relaxed, but I think he's a little bit too relaxed. He needs to get more aggressive at times and fight like he's winning all the time. If he fights like he doesn't feel he has the advantage, that he slows down and kind of takes himself out of the fight. Not to take it away from Cormier, he came out there and put it on Mir, taking him to 12-0 in the U. So we'll see what next comes for Daniel Cormier. He talks to him going to 205 and maybe getting an instant title shot. So we'll see how that plays out in the future. So we also had the Nate Diaz Josh Thompson fight. Excellent fight. I had Diaz picked to win, but I was wrong about that pick. Johnson brought himself to 20-5 after this Saturday. So he was able to deliver the effective strikes. Opened up early in the fight, striking, throwing the head kick, which landed a couple of times. Kind of opened it up, but later in the fight he landed the head kick that led to the demise of Diaz. Say about referee stoppage though. Hats off to Thompson for getting the TKO. And that would wrap it up for the 155 there. Also, the Matt Brown fight over Jordan Mean. Said Jordan Mean comes out and lands the early body shot, put Brown to the ground, forced Brown to recover and fight off his back for a while. He's able to manage to get back to his feet and finish off Jordan Mean, which that moves Matt Brown up. Possibly maybe his next fight he'll see a top 10 guy. So we'll see how it wraps up after this weekend and where they start to place everybody. So that pretty much wraps up the Fox card there. So we'll head on to UFC 159. We'll take a little break first. All right. Back to UFC 159. They'll be fighting out of Newark, New Jersey this Saturday, April 27th. It'll be on pay-per-view. Undercard fights include Leonard Garcia versus Cody McKenzie, Sarah McMahon versus Sheila Gaff, Jim Miller versus Pat Healy. I'll be looking forward to seeing those fights and several others on the undercard. Jumping up to the main card here. So we got Phil Davis versus Vinny Magalhaes. So Phil Davis is 10-1. His last loss coming from Rashad Evans. He's had some formidable opponents in the past that he's had victories over, including Brian Stan, Alexander Gustafsson, Tim Boach, and Lil Nog. So Phil Davis has excellent wrestling coming out of Penn State. Saying I believe Vinny disagree with that. He says Jiu-Jitsu went out and he's ready to meet the Phil Davis's challenge. Said Vinny's most recent win is he beat out Igor back in 2012. I believe that's back in September. That was his return to the UFC. As far as MMA matches outside the UFC, he's had several there. His last UFC fights came back in 2008 and 2009. He fought Ron Bader at the end of The Ultimate Fighter, which he lost that match, also losing to Elliot Marshall. He brings excellent jiu-jitsu to the table. Has improved stand-up. It says he has the dominant stand-up, so we'll see what happens to him on Saturday night. So they both match up pretty even, both 28 years of age. Davis has the advantage in the reach department. It's just with 4 more inches of reach, and both of them stand to be about 6'3". I'm leaning towards Davis in this fight. I feel he may be able to take it, but he has to watch out for the tricks from Vinny from up underneath, because he's got submissions from all areas. So we see how they work that out, if they stand on the feet or battle it out on the ground. Should be a good one. Next one up, we got Roy Nelson versus Chet Kondo. Kongo, he's 28-7-2. Only thing he hasn't fought since July 2012. His last win was over Sean Jordan. Kongo's won 3 out of the last 4 fights. His most memorable win was over Pat Barry with a KO victory. He also was knocked out by Mark Hunt. Was first round knockout. Except for Kongo to win, he's got to keep Nelson at the end of his jab. He uses strikes to set up his ground game. Maybe that'll work out for him. He can use his wrestling, keep a top position, use his ground and pound to win the fight. Otherwise, you may experience an overhand from Nelson and experience another KO. Nelson's 19-7. He's won 3 out of his last 4 fights. got excellent hands, good boxing, packs a powerful punch. So we'll see how he deals with Kongo's 82-inch reach. Next up, we got the co-main event. Got Michael Bisping versus Alan Belcher. Bisping coming into the fight at 24-5. He's won 2 out of his last 4 fights. The losses being to Vitor Belfort and Chael Sonnen. Said he had a great performance. Recent fight with Brian Stann last September. It brings to the fight good stand-up. I don't feel like he works his angles enough. I feel like he's more vulnerable for Belcher to catch an angle on him. Either maybe land a takedown or set up the most dominant strikes. Which Belcher comes in at 17-6, winning 4 out of his last 5 fights. His most recent loss was to Okami by unanimous decision. Okami was able to come in and keep Belcher on his back for most of the fight, which if Bisping brings in a good game plan, he'll come in and use his wrestling, take him down and keep it top position. See, I don't think he has a great chance of knocking him out, but I feel like he can take a top position if he wants to remain dominant in the fight. It's obvious Belcher had to stay off his back. His cardio was a little lacking in the Okami fight, but we'll see how he comes through here. So I'll be backing Belcher in the fight. So we'll see how it plays out this Saturday. So we move on to the main event. I believe everybody's been waiting for this one. Jon Jones versus Chael Sonnen. Of course, Jones coming in 17-1. Said he'd be coming in with a 84.5-inch reach. Said trying to keep Sonnen at bay with the jabs, striking. Say he's on an 8-fight winning streak, and if he wins here, he'll tie Tito Ortiz with the most light heavyweight title defenses. Say he has a highest probability to win. Although Sonnen brings to the fight a record of 28-12-1. Winning 2 out of his last 4 fights. And an interesting fact, both of his those 2 losses were from Anderson Silva. Said anybody who he lost to before that was Damian Maia back in 2009. So everybody's feeling like Sonnen talked himself into the title shot. So we'll see how he fares after coaching this round, the Ultimate Fighter. So I think he done a great job. Used several of his skills as a coach on the Ultimate Fighter. So he come in and gave the guys great pep talks. Gave him more than just physical abilities. He included the mental side of the game. I think that paid off for his fighters, especially Uriah Hall and Gastelum. You saw fight in the finale. Both of his fighters, where Jones's his fighters were left out of the finale. Say we always know Sonnen brings great wrestling to the table. We'll see if he can get up in Jones's face and manage to take him down to the ground. See if he can work his ground and pound and earn himself a championship belt at 205. But as normal, I'm going to go with Jon Jones in this fight. I believe he'll pull it off a submission, 2nd or 3rd round. So that includes UFC 159 rundown for me. Say coming up May 18th, we got Belfort versus Rockhold. It's going to be a UFC fight coming out of Brazil. Keep your hats on for that one. And don't forget, also on this Saturday night, April 27th, fighting out of Branson, Missouri, we got Show Fight. They go to showfight.com. So get yourself a ticket, get up to Branson. If you're not staying home, it'll be a great MMA fights to take in live. Also check out, we'll be sponsoring that event up there at Show Fight 26. The Ultimate Expression will be there inside the cage. So stay tuned on that. Also stay tuned on our website, www.ultimate-expression.com. We got $20 and $40 grab bag special going on. They'll be available till April 30th. So you don't want to miss out on that. Cash in, get yourself some gear, go out, represent. And that's going to do it for the rundown. I hope you enjoyed it. Catch you on the other side. I'm out of here.